What is up, everybody? Check us out on Apple and Spotify. This is the Strength Solutions Podcast. Also, we're on YouTube. You can subscribe and comment down below. Then you check out that music. That's Nathaniel rapping in the background.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
We're busting flow right now.
Busting the flow. Then we have our website, ssempowered.com. We have free blogs, free guides, and programs on there for purchase. We have a couple of trainers who've done our programs.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all should check it out. Our Ethan podcast has been out. Then if you're looking for an email, it's strengthsolutionsempowered@gmail.com. Social media, Facebook, Strength Solutions. TikTok, strength.solutions.pod. And Instagram, Strength Solutions Empowered. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Damn, I nailed that in 45
You're
seconds.
fucking awesome, dude. Let's go.
All right. So we're going to have this amazing podcast. We're going to talk about the most important thing. Fitness. No. Nutrition.
Yeah.
No. We're about to talk some night sleep time. Okay.
Mimis. Some honk shoe.
So recently, before we did the Joseph podcast with Facts Over Fads, right?
Yeah.
I was like, Nathaniel, you got to try these out.
Yeah. Take this weird white pill.
I didn't tell him what it was.
No.
I was like, this is a drug.
I was just like, okay, whatever. Go.
That's how much Nathaniel trusts me.
It's like, whatever you say, Edwin.
I could have gave him heroin, guys.
Yeah. I'm like, this shit makes me real tired.
So before we go into like supplements that you can take for sleep, we're to go and talk about how to create proper sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big part of this is when you wake up, the very first step you should do is get some sun in your eyes.
Mm.
See these eyes right here? Get them wide open.
Open them up.
Boom, 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 boom. So it's crazy because you'll see people in their car and they'll literally, have shades on in the morning. And I'm thinking, the first thing you should do is get sun in your eyes, and you're putting shades on to block the light.
One chance to do it. Yeah. I think it's hard, I guess, right? Because a lot of people, if you're going in at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're probably waking up at 6, right? So you're waking up before there's even sunlight out. Mm-hmm. So you're already kind of starting in this like weird, like biological space, But yeah, trying to at least do something. I know sometimes they even sell like light boxes.
Yeah.
That sort of like teach your body like when to wake up. It's kind of like a tool almost. Mm-hmm. And so that's another option.
They have that alarm clock that slowly glows and
Dude,
wakes you up a little bit.
One of those so bad. Yeah.
We should invest in one.
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
Another thing is to really make sure that you are waking up at the same time every day. We talked a little bit about this with Joseph at Facts Over Fads. And even if you just get 5 hours of sleep a day, as long as you're doing it at the same time every day versus someone getting 5 hours one day, maybe 10 hours the next day, when you wake up the same time every day, it's going to make a huge, huge difference.
Yeah, that's what I found really interesting. And I'm sure we'll talk more about this later on too. But going to, like I said, even if it's 6 hours, but you're getting 6 hours every single night, all the time, like on routine, you're going to be so much better off than, being sleep deprived one day and then trying to make it up, the next day and stuff. Because like we've talked about, you pretty much jet lag yourself, over and over. And I think it's funny because I never really understood that until I was actually jet lagged for the first time. Oh,
when you went to the UK,
yeah,
right?
Dude. When I came back, I was like I felt sick, like I felt like physically.
You know why you got sick though? It's because you started getting the British accent.
Yeah, it's because I had too much minty peas.
You've been hanging around that girl, Camille, too long in the UK.
So I had too much beans and peas. That'll make you sick, bro.
Some fish and chips, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, and then it was like I came back and literally like the first 2 days back, I felt ill, and it was just because I was so sleep deprived, or my sleep schedule was just so off. So the routine part of it is such a big aspect.
Yeah, and this next part is the 3-2-1 principle, right? So 3 hours before bed, stop eating. 2 hours before bed, stop drinking water. And an hour before bed, make sure you take off all your devices. Try to make it as pitch black as possible. Mm-hmm. And it's just a really good, easy 3-2-1 rule. Now, I know people have to eat late sometimes. They're coming from an event or anything like that. Maybe they're with kids. Try to get 3 hours before bedtime. Stop eating. Because I notice when I do this, it makes a huge, huge difference. just like my hands are so huge.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm trying to think. I usually tend to eat like when I get home from work, so usually about like 8:00, and then I'll go to bed around like 11. Sometimes if it's super late, like 12. And so I get like about 6 hours, right? Because I wake up at like 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't really tested that out, like trying to see like whether or not eating a little bit before or eating later messes with my sleep cycle.
So do you have time in between clients, like around 6:00, 6:30 to eat and then come home and be fine?
Not exactly. I mean, I guess you can make time for anything, right? But it isn't it like I usually will fast pretty much all day. Like up to this point right now, I haven't eaten. You know, I started my day at 6:30, you know, and I usually don't eat until I'm home around like 5 p.m. So my eating schedule is late, I guess, in the day, which I would assume hopefully someone can sort of resonate with that, you know, where it's like, oh man, it's hard to do these types of things, but it is probably better for you in the end.
Yeah. And then the 2 hours of stop drinking water, it's for people who, like myself, who wake up and have to pee.
Getting old, bro. Getting old.
It doesn't work the same.
Yeah. Can't hold it.
And then the hours with the device, of course, because you don't want your brain active and all that stuff. The very last part is going to be the temperature. And this plays a huge role. I noticed the difference when I went from one house that I was living in and it was hot all the time. And it was like on 410, 151 into an apartment complex near Bernie.
Yeah.
I could never get that house cool.
Yeah.
And then we slept at the other house. We're like, this is the best sleep ever. Temperature makes a huge ass difference.
Temperature totally does make a difference. I think we talked to Joseph about that a little bit, right? Where he was like, make it 2 degrees hotter, you know, like try and go to bed. And I think it also ends up being a routine thing too, where it's like if you usually sleep at 72 degrees, right? And then you go somewhere and it's 75, it's not so much that the temperature change is like suddenly messing with your body, but I think it's just the environment is not the same and you're going to feel weird. You know, we've talked about people who maybe travel a lot and are always in a different hotel room or a different whatever. And your body kind of goes into that, like new environment, can't really sleep because I don't know this environment. I don't know if I'm going to be attacked at night or, you know, and these are all like survival things, not to say that it's like a modern issue, but your body doesn't know that.
Bro,
right?
there's a lion outside. I don't know.
I read that here in Santiago, there was like a mountain lion that got loose and it's just been running around the city. Yeah. So I'm going to go out and find it, bro. Fight it.
Gotta hunt it.
Yeah.
No, dude, I should have took a picture. I saw like, this is the most Texas thing. It was the word love. It had like L for like it had a gun like that, right?
Okay.
And then there's like an O, and then like for the E, it was like a grenade or whatever. I was like, what is going on?
I don't know if that's Texas, but it's definitely American.
All right, so we're gonna get to the part that what I really want to get to is the supplements.
Yeah.
And this first supplement is what I gave you. And I take it every night before bed, about 30 minutes before bed in my routine. And you want at least 400 to 500 milligrams of dosage. It's magnesium glycinate. And remember, guys, we're not doctors. So these dosage we're giving you are just averages. And if you really need help, go to your doctor.
Right.
What it does, it relaxes the nervous system. It relaxes muscles, reduces anxiety. And sometimes in studies, it's seen to alleviate restless leg syndrome, and it helps set your circadian rhythm. I know it helps me sleep through the night. I don't know about for you, what it does for you. You're like, it's a drug now that you have to have.
Dude, so I'll talk a little bit about this because I've actually been trying to like catalog my experience with it, you know. And so you gave me 7, I think, to start out with, right? And so it was about like a week's worth. I think I took it the first day you gave me. I think I missed the second day, and then after that, I was every day I did it. And number one, so whenever I take it, I've been taking it about maybe an hour-ish before bed. I don't feel like it makes me tired, right? So it doesn't make me sleepy, but it does kind of relax you. I will say that it definitely helps in terms of the reducing anxiety. Usually, man, I would just lay in bed and just think about stuff, you know, until like suddenly I'm just asleep. And then you don't really have good quality sleep because you just slept all stressed out, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like it really, really clears my mind. It also definitely, how do I say it? I don't know, puts you into a state where you're ready for bed. That's what I was saying. Like, that's like the best way I can kind of say it.
Do you feel like it kind of, because this is what I feel, even if I have like, because I like to leave the TV on for a little bit before I shut everything off.
Right.
It kind of just puts your brain into like relaxation mode, and you can feel your body kind of like sink into the bed a little bit more, and you're more ready to like just, as soon as I click it off, I can fall asleep like that.
Definitely. Yeah. So I've been feeling that same thing. And the one thing that I've noticed the most is that, you know, in the past, I would even get like 6 hours of sleep, you know, or whatever it was. Like my routine for sleeping hasn't changed. Right. I'm still doing the same exact things, which I think is actually a good part of the experiment, because I'm like, okay, let's just see what the supplement itself can do. Right. So I haven't really changed anything. I'm still sleeping the same way, doing the same kind of routine before bed, etc. And what I notice is that even on the nights where I do get 6 hours, maybe even less, maybe 5.5, something like that, I wake up feeling like I actually went to sleep. That is the one thing. And it definitely keeps me in sleep. Like I would wake up 4, maybe 5 times a night, man. Not for long periods of time, just like wake up. Okay, I'm awake. Let me go back to bed, over and over and over. And dude, like today I woke up and I was like, damn, I fucking, like this shit makes you sleep hard, bro. And not even to where you wake up and let's say you take like a sleep aid, right? Like a Z-Quil type thing. You wake up and you feel like groggy as fuck, like almost like a sleep hangover, you know, where you're just like, ugh, like, damn, like, yeah, I got to bed, but I kind of feel like shit this morning. Don't feel like that, dude. I just feel ready. I feel awake. The process of waking up is so much faster. Whereas before, you know, I didn't feel awake literally until maybe like 2 hours into my work shift. It's finally when my brain was going and I'm not like all in a fog anymore and stuff. And like now it's maybe like 20, 30 minutes and I'm moving. I feel good. I'm not tired. I'm not thinking about, God, I can't wait to take a nap later on. You know what I mean? It's just, I think along with everything else I'm doing, right? Cause I take other supplements and stuff like that. It is life changing, man. Like when I finished that, that's why I texted you and I was like, all right, bro, what is this? Tell me exactly what it is so I can go get it. Yeah. That same day.
You're like scratching the neck. You're like,
I need my sleep, bro. Yeah. And so you sent it to me and I literally went to HEB and I was like, all right, let me go grab it. And so I got about a 500 milligram. It's a bigger capsule, which I was a little bit sad about because I like the ones that you gave me. But I was like, whatever. And so
my size fits you just right.
Yeah. This is made for me, man. So I've been taking it every night now and it is definitely a part of my life at this point, man. That was life changing.
So you talked about being groggy and like those sleep aids and stuff.
Yeah.
This is going to be the last supplement that I would recommend people. And it's because we naturally produce it. And it happens when the body sees darkness, right? Is melatonin. And what happens is most of the melatonin supplements that are out there is too high of a dosage for the average person. Our body only produces micrograms worth of melatonin. And you'll see some that'll say 10 milligrams, 5 milligrams, 1 milligrams, even too much. If you go to Legions, they have Lunar, and their sleep aid has 0.5 milligrams, which is 500 micrograms of melatonin.
Wow.
And that is an effective dose for an individual. So what melatonin does is really sets your circadian rhythm. And I wonder if you were to set up your day from UK to come back to Texas, is go to sleep on the plane when you would go to sleep in Texas.
Right.
Or vice versa. Go into the UK, you wake up at a certain time, go to sleep, force yourself to sleep. This is when I would use melatonin the most.
Right. When you need to acclimate to a new environment. Right.
Yeah. And I feel like too many times the reason why people are so dependent on this, and have you noticed they give it to kids too?
So that's the crazy part. That's what I was just about to say, is that I've actually never taken melatonin ever in my life. I've never taken it because, so here's the thing, is like melatonin is essentially like a hormone, right? And so now on the other hand, magnesium is like a micronutrient, right? Like it's a vitamin, right? Or a mineral.
Like you could even take it during the day if you wanted to.
Yeah, you could, right? And that was one of the things I was thinking about too, but I was like, I don't really want to take it because we work out and stuff like that. So I don't want to be like in a relaxed muscular state when I'm trying to like lift heavy, you know? So,
and then if you're going to have sex, you need a boner, right?
Yeah.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're totally right. Yeah, I'm going to be like, nah, I'm sleepy baby right now. Yeah, don't touch me.
You're like, Camille, get away.
Yeah. Give me more magnesium, you know? I'm trying to take a little nappy nap. Melatonin is a hormone, right? And so I kind of put it in the same category as like, like testosterone or other things. And it's like, you don't just like take that stuff to just take it. You know what I mean? There's like certain specific reasons why you would. And I think, like you said, not enough people do things to get melatonin naturally, right? Like you said, like getting sunlight in your eyes in the morning, turning things off at night, that they need to be doing instead of actually taking the medication. But yeah, man, I've seen too many parents be like, oh man, I really want my kid to go to sleep. And then like, here's the melatonin, you know, and like, here's whatever. And I'm not going to pretend like I haven't been guilty of it, or people I know
I
have
have not been guilty.
Yeah. And I think it's because it wasn't really a thing, you know, back then. I mean, in my situation, my daughter I haven't given her melatonin forever. You know, it's been years and years and years. Yeah. But yeah, it's such a natural thing, you know, and I don't think that maybe our generation is any different, because I know for a fact that my mom would always tell us like, when Tylenol, just, you know, whatever. And it's just not melatonin, you know, but it's just anything to make you go.
Yeah. But, it's a hormone. So you could be fucking with your kid's growth.
Own production of melatonin, right?
Your own production, your kid's growth. And it could have long-term effects. I feel like that's why like all these kids who are introduced to Starbucks so early, my daughters all telling me, middle school kids taking Starbucks to school, high calorie drinks, on top of that caffeine, who don't even need drinks. Kids are crashing because of this.
Yeah. Yeah. My daughter will often ask me like, when can I have stuff like that? And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, maybe when you're like 13, like 15 even.
No, dude. I'm waiting till my kids are like 18.
And
like,
it's funny.
Be an adult, let your body grow.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you some of this stuff.
Yeah. Like the Bang energy drinks, on the back it says 18 plus. Like you can't have it unless you're an adult. And that's why I tell her a lot, because if she'll see me have one, you know, she's like, what kids, can I have that? And I'm like, no, this is literally not for children. Like you literally cannot drink this. Like
yeah, speaking of Bang, I was telling Joseph he needs to get a sponsorship.
He does need to get
Bang, if you're listening.
The fact that he doesn't have one is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm rooting for it.
Yeah.
I want to see his fridge just all Bangs.
It's a super creatine, bro.
So this next supplement is L-theanine, and I just bought it. I'm experimenting one supplement at a time.
Yeah.
So first was magnesium glycinate, then I gave Nathaniel.
So are you no longer taking magnesium glycinate?
I'm still taking it, but I'm going to see if it gives me an added effect.
You're adding something in.
Yes.
Okay.
And right now I'm going to take it as a sleep aid, but I'm also thinking about taking it with my coffee, because it can lower that high rise of the caffeine. And you know how you get anxiety sometimes when you have too much caffeine?
Yeah.
L-theanine is known to help with that.
So you will get like the energy portion without like the nervousness.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's 100 milligrams to 400 milligrams L-theanine doses. It's beneficial for sleep. L-theanine can improve quality of sleep, not by acting like a sedative, but by lowering anxiety and promoting relaxation.
See, that's what I like.
So this is why I think it would help me and you, because we think a lot.
Yeah. See, these are the types of sleep supplements that I think people need to take. I think too often are we just fucking trank me, you know, like put me to
melatonin.
bed. Melatonin, Z-Quil, you know, shit like that, where you're just taking it to just like go to bed. Like today, one of my clients, he texts me, it's 10:15. His session's at 10:15. He texts me, he's like, I'm going to be a little bit late. I was like, okay. So he shows up like 15 minutes later, and he walks in and he's like, man, you really can't take those sleep aids unless you have 8 hours of sleep. Because it says on the back, you know, like, unless you can get 8 hours. And he was like, I took it at like 2 a.m. because I just couldn't get to bed. And 8 hours from then is 10 o'clock, where it's around when he texted me. So I was like, I know you just woke up and got here. Which is funny, right? Like we've all, you know, been victim to it. But I really don't like those sedative quality ones. It needs to be more of like that downturn, you know, as opposed to just getting tired and sleepy.
Yeah. So like the stuff that I think that we talked about at the beginning, the temperature, getting sun in your eyes.
Yeah.
Those need to precede this.
Right.
Because again, then you're not going to know what you really need. These are supplements to help aid.
And again, these are supplements, right?
What does the word supplement mean? Either to enhance
supplemental
or to help with deficiencies.
With deficiencies.
All right. The next one is, did I go over everything on that one? Yes, I did.
Yes.
Is GABA. And so this is the one I'm going to do after L-theanine. You're going to need 100 to 200 milligrams of GABA. It enables the body and mind to relax, to fall asleep, and sleep soundly throughout the night. Low GABA activity is linked to insomnia and disrupted sleep. In a study of GABA levels in people with insomnia were almost 30% lower than in people without the sleep disorder.
Oh, wow.
And you would take this before bedtime as well. They're all probably around 30 minutes before bedtime.
Yeah.
So I want to try this because we've talked about our sleep being disrupted.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm an old man and I have to pee a lot. So.
Yeah, you're starting to have to wear a diaper, bro.
Hey, Amanda,
to go. Yeah.
Where's my adult diaper? Where's my Depends?
So change me.
I'll be like, can I get a sponsorship by Depends here?
Yeah.
You know?
Coming in, your shorts are all puffy. So, what's he wearing?
I'll be like, that's my junk. All right, so this next one, there's a little bit research behind this one. This is probably another one that I would hold off on. It does take 6 to 12 weeks to fully be effective. It's 5-HTP. And in one study, 5-HTP allowed people to sleep quicker and also sleep more deeply than those who took the placebo. And researchers recommend 200 to 400 milligrams a night. So you have to take it consistently for 6 to 12 weeks and then to see the real effects of it.
Oh, wow. So it's one that sort of has to build up.
It has to build up over time.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And then this last supplement is glycine. And so after theanine and GABA, this is the next one I'm going to introduce in my sleep and see if it really affects me. Especially with the summer coming in Texas and you don't want to lower your AC so low and they want to control your unit to make sure you don't go past like 70 degrees, is glycine. So glycine is a supplement. It's an amino acid. It's shown to trigger the body to drop temperature and at the same time help people fall asleep more quickly and spend more time in REM sleep. So that's in that deep sleep phase. So our body cools down and allows us to get into REM and then it starts warming back up to wake us up. Okay. So that's why if you think about sunset and it gets cooler at night and then the temperature raises, our body understands temperature as well to help us with our circadian rhythm and setting that.
So it almost like simulates it. How interesting. So
other research has shown the supplement glycine may help you move more quickly into deep sleep and slow the wave of sleep down. So take it before bedtime as well.
Very interesting.
So these are pretty good supplements to take and they can help you out tremendously. But remember, you got to do the foundation and then add slowly the supplements. Just like if we were to talk about nutrition, start with your protein, get your carbs and fats down. Then you can start worried about protein supplement, or not protein supplement, but like creatine, a carb supplement, any of the other supplements after that.
Right.
All right, dude. You're like angry and you're furious this past weekend.
So mad.
Oh man, you were just like, this guy on YouTube, he's getting really into my skin.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because we've had like some comments on our YouTube page about, on our workouts or whatever we're doing, or like other stuff, like when the guy was like, "Ooh, you paint your nails, you shouldn't take advice from it." Yeah. But this one was one that I was like, wow, that was an interesting comment because I saw it on our email page and I was like, oh, someone commented, like, let's go see what it said. And so it was on one of our like fitness tip videos, right? Where we're like doing an exercise and showing people how to do it.
It was a chest fly.
It was a chest fly, yeah. And so I was sitting there doing the chest fly. It was me in the video. And someone had commented, man, what did he say? He was like, this guy's overweight trying to give exercise tips or something like that. And I was like, what? And so I was like, let me look at the video. Like maybe I look like, huge or something. And I was like, it just looks pretty normal. Like
you're like an average guy.
Yeah. Like I look like a normal person, And so it made me think of, okay, so what would I need to look like in this video for this guy to be like, oh, okay, this is someone I would take fitness advice from. Right. And it also made me think about this person's perception of what fitness is, or all of our perception, really. Right.
What it's been created in American culture.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I can imagine that unless I'm sitting there and I'm either super jacked and giant, right. Or I have my shirt off and I'm cut and shredded. Right. Those are the only two options that most people would probably take fitness advice from. Right. I saw this video the other day too, where it was like this dude, and he was getting coached by someone, and they were like doing pull-ups and doing all this weird, sort of circuit with it and stuff. the dude who's doing the exercises is a small guy. He's really lean. You know, you can tell that he's kind of shorter or stuff like that. And his coach is like this 300-pound dude. Like he's like a big guy.
Yeah.
And everybody, you know, is like, oh, I bet he couldn't do them, or, you know, blah, blah, whatever. And someone in the comments was like, do you see this guy doing the pull-ups? He got there because of this coach.
Yeah.
That's all it needs. That's all that matters, right? Is that this person understands exercise or whatever it is, right? And it's just funny, especially in our space, how you will get judged on how you look, right? You will, you know, it's understandable. I get it, right? Yeah. And so it was just funny because I was like, man, the fitness industry has really changed our perspective on what health is, and also changes their perspective on what they need to look like in order to be healthy. Right. Because I'm sure that guy is never going to think that he looks good or that he's strong or whatever, unless he's, like I said, either super jacked and on a bunch of steroids, or he's incredibly cut and lean, you know?
And so I was listening to Mind Pup and Jordan Syatt today, and they're talking about the GLP-1s and going off to like what people think fitness is. And it's all about just losing weight. Yeah. And let's say semaglutide and tirzepatide like work wonderfully and get the whole masses, and like trainers are like thinking we're going to go out of business.
Yeah.
But actually now you could focus on muscle gain and muscle strength. You don't have to worry about fat loss anymore. Like fat loss is just one piece of all this puzzle. Yeah. Maybe you could focus on athletic performance instead. And it's just crazy to me that they think fat loss and the way they look is the only thing that matters in fitness.
Yeah.
And time after time, every time I meet someone who could do this for a lifetime, they develop a relationship with fitness that I feel better. I move better. Right. I have better relationship with my friends and family.
Yeah.
And when they think about those things, that is what's going to create the relationship for you to do this forever. Not, I had 6-pack abs. I had 6-pack abs. I've been 7%. I was miserable at 7% because I had to cut social aspects out of my life.
Yeah.
Right now, I was talking to a young kid yesterday too that I helped. It was one of Ethan's friends. And he was just like, you know, I used to work out all the time, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, at least I'm 15% to 20%. And I was like, hey, you're still in the healthy range. So if you're enjoying life at this range from 10 to 20% for a male, 20 to 30% for a female, that's okay. Like if you enjoy life like that, you can move better. You feel good. You have a lot of energy. It's okay. You don't have to have the 6-pack abs. And he's like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, you don't. Right. And it's funny because I was talking to my brother the other day, and we were talking about Ethan's episode. I know we're referencing that one a lot, but he was talking about how in the episode, you know, Ethan was talking about how he likes to be aesthetic and things like that, whereas my brother isn't really concerned with those things, right? He's more concerned with just being strong, or, you know, lifting more, or just feeling better, etc. And so there's all these different aspects of like what health and fitness is, right? And what it means to everybody. And I'm not necessarily saying that like wanting to be aesthetic is the wrong way, right? Or wanting to just be strong and quote unquote healthy is the right way, right? I'm just saying that there's so many different aspects of it. And like you said, I think we focus almost like solely 90% of what people think fitness is losing weight. And this might be a tangent, but it also brings me to the fact that that is a lot of people's main concern, because so many people are overweight, right? Are overweight, are out of shape, do have diabetes, do have high blood pressure, metabolic conditions, whatever, because that's like the current disease of the world, you know, is that everybody's overweight. If nobody was overweight, right? Or everybody looked more like me or more like you, right? Because we are healthy, right? We are strong. Like so many people would have already reached their goal by now. You know what I mean? They would have already been healthier. They would have already been strong or whatever, because they wouldn't have had to deal with this part first, right? I almost see weight loss as like it's a roadblock, right? Between us getting them to where they really need to be, right? Because I have to tackle this thing first. But yeah, it was just interesting and funny. Like, no,
I completely agree, because I'm at this part of my life where I'm starting to go to the chiropractor, right? And I'm also rooting for the GLP-1s to help people so they could get past that part of weight loss. Yeah, I know I have mentally. It used to be an issue for me, and now I can look at the weight scale, and Amanda's like, "How do you step on it every day?" And I'm like, "I'm just making sure." It's just data to me now. Yeah, I feel much better. But now I'm going to the chiropractor. I'm going to Peterson Chiropractic, and what's cool is they do this like anytime they get a patient, they have to go to a class. because it's like a 30 to 45 minute class.
Okay.
And it tells you what exactly chiropractic does and how they can help you. So they want to educate all their patients on what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Interesting.
And so if you go through us, through Strength Solutions, you could get a discounted rate, and you could call them and be like, hey, Edwin from Strength Solutions said, oh, I can go to one of your free classes. It's a free class, and you can get yourself set up. And from there, if you sign up that day, you could get a discounted rate with Peterson Chiropractic to get a scan, a consult, and everything. And what I loved about it is when I got my scan, it showed, because, I would complain about my hips or my back, but most of my issue was actually my cervical spine.
Wow.
And so he started working on my cervical spine. And I've only been doing this for about a week and a half.
Okay.
And I started doing neck exercises, release techniques for my neck. And I noticed my hinging has gotten better. And we don't think about these things. And I was talking to my clients today. I was like, I've done a lot for your pelvis. I've done a lot for your hips. But you're still having symptoms. Let's work on your neck now.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they get better. I've gotten better results. And in the scan, my pelvis was lined up perfect. Because that's why Amanda likes these hips.
And that's super interesting, because if I could pinpoint anything that you said over time, that I know that you have issues with, is your hip, right? There's been a lot of times where it's either been super out of place or painful, right? And you've just kind of expressed that it's an issue, right? So to hear that your hips are aligned, right? And there's no problem there. It's crazy to think that, because a lot of the times, man, the issue is never from where it feels like, right? Again, I'm gonna say like 90% of the time, it's not from that area. It comes from somewhere else.
So that scan has made me aware of the situation and how things are going. And so I've been doing all that. I've already noticed the difference while driving. I texted Amanda today. I was like, man, my driving feels so much better. I feel like there's less pressure on my back, and my hips feel better. Also, I was with her in breakfast the other day, and she's like, you're sitting up taller. And it didn't feel like I was like having to push myself up.
Right. Like you were actively, consciously trying to sit up. Yeah.
Because I've been working my neck and all that stuff. I feel like I can naturally do it. And what's really cool about Peterson, I'm going to bring out my keys right here. You get a little fob, or you get a card. Okay. And that's how you sign in. Okay. So it's a quick sign in process as soon as you put in. And then when you go to the room, you put it onto this like red part of like this pad. And then all your scan and all your information comes up on there.
No way.
Yeah. So this is what makes it so badass. And while he's doing stuff, I can hear him do the notes that he needs to notate for himself. Yeah. And so that way he has like a constant record like that.
How cool is that, dude?
Yeah, dude, it's so cool.
That's kind of badass.
And something that I want us to implement a little bit better is the amazing customer service they have. And so like I've gone on empty days. They know my name. They know who I am as soon as I come in. But I was there on a busy day, customer appreciation, and the amazing customer service of everybody's name. If it was a first-time person, they would like, hey, you haven't come in this week. I'm going to get you to sign this and take a picture over here. So that way you could do this customer appreciation. We give this away for free. And they had food for them, and very interactive, just great service overall. Yeah. And it's something like I would love like Strength Solutions to aspire to, and making sure that we are giving that type of service.
Taken care of.
Care of it. Yeah. So it's been nothing but like a great experience. And today, since it was busy, I met this woman and we were talking. I was going to give up my chair to her, and she's like, no, I want to stand up. That's fine. And then another lady made her sit down as she was standing up because the place is full. Okay. And I started talking to her a little bit. And we're just talking about how their device makes it more precise, less scary, and small changes over time. And I was like, that kind of goes with my philosophy on like how I believe nutrition goes, how life goes, how, when you're hurting, it's gonna be a process. You're to change one way. When you do these extreme changes, you tend to get these extreme bounce backs. And we had a whole conversation about this. Yeah. I wish I remember that woman's name, but we had a great conversation just sitting there in the chair talking. And she was telling me she was on pain meds. She went to pain management doctors, and she went to Peterson. And after 3 sessions, she was already feeling better. Wow. And this just shows like we're not against pain management, because there's times pain management is necessary. Yeah. But you could get adjustments or moved properly, or physical therapy, and get rid of pain naturally without initiating with like medical treatments, interventions.
Yeah. It brings me back to what you said just a bit earlier about how when you get these extreme changes, you get extreme bounce backs, right? It reminds me of kind of when people go through like surgeries and, you know, they have knee replacement surgery or whatever. So now their knee is tracking properly or whatever it is, but now their lower back hurts or something because now they're in a different alignment, right? And so now you have like another issue to deal with. And now you have, maybe now you got to get surgery to fix that, right? Or something else. Whereas if you do something like, maybe if it doesn't require surgery, right, you go through physical therapy instead or personal training and stuff like that. It's a slower, gradual process, right, where you work things out as it sort of comes along instead of changing this giant piece, right? And then now everything's like jacked up because you have this huge change. So I agree, man. It's all about that least effective dose, you know, and I've talked to them in the past, right? But yeah, it does seem like they have a very cool and very effective way of doing chiropractic that isn't really popular right now, right? Yeah.
And what I like about it too is I had a scan of my body, so now it could make me more conscious for myself personal. But if I had a client go in there and there's a scan and I can ask, hey, what did you see in your scan?
Yeah.
And they give me like, oh, this is where my lumbar is having an issue. This is what the doctor said. I can have better information to make a better workout routine or a better program for you.
Right.
And I think that's the big difference of working with people versus you trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
All right, dude. So I was telling you the other day, like, I was like, man, this world is crazy. Like the whole men versus women and dating and stuff like that. And I've seen a lot of posts lately of like women bashing men.
Yeah.
Right. Or men bashing women. And I was
both ways.
I was really thinking like, you know what you're actually doing is alienating the people who really would want to be with you. That's a good person. So,
yeah,
you know, if you're saying like it's like April Fools every day when you're attracted to men, well, all the men that may be attracted to you, right?
Yeah.
They're just going to say, well, fuck you. I'm not going to be with you. And you could get the asshole. And then you're going to get this reaffirm bias of all the assholes reaching out to you because you're a pretty woman.
Yeah.
When in reality, it comes to you literally have alienated all the good guys and now you're just getting the bad guys. So you think all guys are bad at this point, or all guys are little kids, or all guys like this.
Yeah.
Vice versa, when a guy is just like, oh, women are just so much trouble and the same, you're just doing the same thing.
And it's funny too, because whenever you get into relationships with people who have had that issue or do believe things like that, whether it's, you know, men thinking all women are crazy and they're, you know, insane and, or they belong in the kitchen or whatever it is, or you're a girl who thinks every man is incompetent or gonna gaslight you or whatever. When you get into relationships with these people, man, there's such a difficulty with like trust, you know, or trying to prove yourself, right? That you aren't like that, you know, and then it causes strain when maybe there didn't need to be any, right? And it's hard because how do you avoid it? You know what I mean? You're like, I'm not going to look for that content, but it's all over my feed, you know? Yeah. You're not going to go look for that content, but it's all over your feed, you know? And so it's hard because then even if you are trying to avoid it or whatever, you know, you subconsciously start to think these things. Or if you have friends around you who are super alpha male or, you know, really, really feminist or whatever it is. And then you create this false perception of this generalization of everybody, you know? And then like you said, yeah, man, if I'm online and maybe I think, you know, oh, that person looks nice or whatever, but then you go through all their content and they're just like, yeah, this and that, blah, blah, then I'm going to be immediately like, yeah, never mind, you know, because I don't want to deal with that shit.
And some of it comes down to like, we talked about the family culture of like family's not there anymore. So if you think about it, the boomer generation was the first generation to actually go to work and more people divorced, right? Not a high percentage, but there's people who divorced. Yeah. So those kids in Gen X started growing up in a sense of, well, my parents are never around. Right. And then Gen X was like overcompensating, giving their kids, the millennials, us, too much, or they wouldn't be there at all. It's like extremes. Yeah. And then now our generation and Gen Z are more emotionally unstable because we're looking for love. We're looking for places to fill holes in our body and fill holes within our soul. And we're just like lost. Right. We're like a lost generation of emotional, you know, deficient people, right? We don't have enough like emotional support. And we talked about this because I grew up in a 2-parent household. You grew up in a split
parent household, yeah.
right? And then we talked about parenting before and stuff. It makes it much harder to really feel loved too in today's generation too, when you take a child at such a young age. And I told Mendo, like, we kind of lucked out in not taking our kids to daycare. And we get a lot of stuff through pheromones. Like, you smell great, bro. You know, like whether it's a signal from a woman and fertility, or as I smell the baby as a father, it's my first time to like really get attached. I remember the first moment. You know, Amanda, in my story, is what changed everything is the first day I saw my oldest daughter, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, it just changed something inside.
In you. Yeah, it's like a fucking flip switch.
When she was pregnant, it was like, whatever, fuck off. But like after that, I was like, oh shit. Like, and then the twins came, and I'm like, oh shit again. And it does ignite something in a man to be a better father and be a better person. Notice I said a man, not a boy.
Yeah.
And I think having these split relationships really hurt the dynamic of the kids, or sending them to daycare. And think about it, you're handing them to a stranger with different smells, and that's what they can feel. And maybe they feel the anxiety from a person they're not getting paid a lot, so they're less likely to probably have like security in their life.
Yeah.
And they have the anxiety, and maybe your child's having anxiety because now you're split from mother. So I really do think like paid time leave off, if you can, if a company should give you about like at least 6 months to a year. We don't even get that much here.
Yeah. We get like fucking nothing, man, which is really ridiculous, especially in like those first like years of life. You know what I mean? I mean, paternity leave is a fucking joke. You know, I got like 2 weeks paid, and then I forced them to give me another 2 weeks, but I didn't get paid for it. So I was out of work for like a month, dude. You know, and then at that point you're just like, everybody's living
and your other person needs you at that point.
Yeah, bad. Yeah. You know, the kid needs you bad. You know, and then but you're such in a position where you're like, well, it's either I go back to work or we fucking, I don't know, live on the street. You know what I mean? So like you're forced back into that realm of that. And I don't know, man. I think it's all a big conspiracy, honestly, to just like keep people fucked up, you know. But yeah, it's totally
like
different.
Nestle and sugar.
Yeah.
Oh that was crazy.
Yeah.
That's a story for another time.
But yeah, I think that there's just this whole thing going on where it's just like, let's keep families split. You know, let's make
women think that they have to work as hard as they can.
Right.
Because sometimes I've met women who are like, I want to have kids. You're 35, you don't have a guy. You know, they should tell women the true story of like, you need to meet a person when you're 20s. You could build your career as you're going with the kid.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think we need to go back. It's teamwork at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is.
You're trying to make it all about the women need to do everything. You're going to fuck yourself up like that. Just like as a man, I cannot do everything in this household. Man mostly cooks.
Yeah.
I mostly take care of other stuff. And they'd be like, oh, you're sexist. No, but if we split these things up,
it works for you.
We work better as a team.
Yeah.
And I've gotten comments of like, y'all work really well together. Like you're doing one thing and she's doing another. It's because I know we're less efficient if we're working on the same item.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I feel like most people are, right? That's why they split teams up or have people who are good at other things. But
I mean, look at a football team. That's why you have each position has to do its role.
Yeah. And they have to work together perfectly in order to win, you know? And so, yeah, it's interesting.
All right, let's go ahead and go to study. Let's talk about my favorite thing about sports brawl restrictions on respiratory mechanics during exercise.
Oh yeah,
you sent me this one, so you better have read it because I read it.
That was a really.
I had to get my bra on while I read it.
You put it on while you read it. It was an interesting article because a lot of, you know, we peddle this product, right, of sports bras, right, to women in order to help like with support and things like that, which I understand too, especially for people who are more well endowed, right, like
myself,
running, doing anything sort of cardio based is going to be. Uncomfortable, you know, especially from what I've heard and stuff, but they're also pretty restrictive, you know, like they are very tight. And so it was talking about how like inspiration, right?
So, before you keep on going,
go ahead.
Have you talked to Camille about this article?
Man,
should be a good test subject.
Yeah, I don't know if she's the one who sent it to me. I don't know where I found it. But no, we didn't have like sit down conversation about it. Yeah,
just asking. experiment.
Yeah. But it's interesting too because, it's something
bro.
that we no, it's okay. The fact that like everybody uses this, right? In fact, it's almost this thing where it's just like this is what you use when you exercise. You know what I mean? It's really.
And what's crazy, they were talking about like the tighter it is, the more your lungs have to work harder. It's like 2 times harder than what it would be if you loosened it up a little bit. It's not that they're not wearing a bra, but it's the strap below. It's the low band.
Right.
And then Amanda was telling me that they built a sports bra where you have a strap, you could pull it tighter. And I was like, well, that's going to affect your breathing even more because now it's too tight. Now you're pushing down on the lungs. So it's kind of hard to press against.
You literally
get as much oxygen.
Yeah, you don't get to expand. The expansion and contraction there that happens, it's half of what it is.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, so you can't inspire as much oxygen into your body and then it's going to reduce your performance or make you feel like shit or whatever it is, right? And so, man, dude, it's just crazy like the shit that we don't think about,
Yeah. Second study that we read was, does the time of the day you move your body make a difference for your health? And in this study, they said undertaking the majority of daily physical activity in the evening is linked to the greatest health benefits for people living with obesity, according to researchers from the University of Sydney, Australia, who followed a trajectory of 30,000 people of over 8 years. So it's saying the evening's the best time. Now, where I would say bullshit in the study is first you got to build a habit and be consistent.
Yeah.
And the reason the evening works because in the article, it talked to a lot of people with obesity and diabetes, and it helped them. I think because people eat mostly their heavy meal and carb meal at night, it's best to move at night to eat that meal. So what I used to tell clients when they were diabetic, let's say we worked out in the morning, I was like, okay, you're gonna have your highest carb meal this morning after our workout. Right. Because your body can uptake carbohydrates.
So you can metabolize it best.
And then the rest of the day, go low carb. Right. So imagine if you work out at night and your night meal is your biggest meal, you need to be able to uptake more carbohydrates and to relax the body. And then that's probably why they said it. Because overall, we know it's a 24-hour cycle most of the time. Yeah.
I wonder if the other thing, too, is less about the time of day, but more about the consistency and routine, like we were talking about earlier, where it's like these people who maybe the people that were most consistent are the people that work out in the evening, right? And if you're consistent, then obviously you're going to have health benefits, right? Same thing. It's like I can only imagine that it doesn't really matter if you're working out 3 times a week, whether it's at 5 a.m., 12 in the afternoon, or 6 at night, right? It's just the fact that you're working out that many times per week.
And
right?
eating consistently.
And
sleeping consistently.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a long research, article with 8 years and then 30,000 people. So that's a pretty good population.
But I wonder how much of it's biased. Like, I think people forget that we're human and research articles can be biased.
Yeah, it definitely is. I can only imagine, or I'm not saying it is, but I can definitely imagine that it could be. Right. So I wonder who these people were, right?
Do they work out in the evening?
Do they work out in the evening? Did they tell them to work out in the evening? Was it that long of a thing? What's the control of it and stuff? But I think at the end of the day, the thing to take from it is not that you need to start working out at 7 p.m. because that's the best time, but that you need to start working out consistently at some time.
Yeah, whatever works. At this point, I mean, we had, GLP-1s are going to be awesome because weight loss overall is just going to make you healthy.
Right.
We talked about the gas station study where they donuts and stuff like that. Yeah. Lost weight, got better blood work. That's step number 1. And then the step number 2 is, how do I fit this into my daily life and make it a lifelong process?
Right.
All right, guys, if you're enjoying what we're doing, please check us out on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Then we're also on YouTube. You can subscribe down below and comment down below as well. Then, if you're looking for our website, it's ssempowered.com. We have free blogs, free guides, and programs on there for purchase. Then, email us at strengthsolutionsempowered@gmail.com. You can email us future fitness questions. And then, social media, Facebook, Strength Solutions, TikTok, strength.solutions.pod, and Instagram, Strength Solutions Empowered. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, fitness questions. Man, this is a long scroll down on this thing. All right, first fitness question. Can you be an online trainer before you train in person? I don't have a lot of time to become a trainer in person, but I like fitness and want to help people. You can be one.
Yeah, I guess you can be anything.
So like, if you ever get an online trainer and all they've done is online training and never trained a person in person, I think that's kind of a red flag for me.
I don't know.
Because when you train somebody in person, you can cue different ways and you have years experience on how to cue people. When you train somebody online, you usually give them like a program here, this is it. And then they're like, oh, well, I have lower back pain here. We're like, try this video. Like you would know how to answer questions because you've worked with people in person.
Yeah. I don't know if I would really say it's a red flag. Like, I wouldn't be like, whoa, this person's a bad trainer.
You're going against me.
But yeah, how dare you?
I'm not saying he's a horrible trainer. I'm just saying he's less likely to have the experience to help you out of hard issues.
I would definitely be concerned, like, just off of that aspect. Like, I'm trying to think of maybe an analogy or something like that. To me, it's kind of like, would you take football advice from someone who's never played football? You know what I mean? They might watch it a lot, but they've never actually played. So they don't really know the experience of doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And so same thing is here. It
doesn't have to be like an extreme level either, right?
Yeah,
just like the guy could have played high school football, coached and done a little league.
Right.
But as long as he has some experience in the game,
then I'm going to take more advice from that person than I would anybody else, really, you know? And so same thing here where, like you said, I guess you could be an online trainer if you wanted to, right? But I think at that point, I'd probably recommend just like maybe building out really cool programs and selling them to people, but not necessarily doing the actual like coaching, because I've also heard too many times and seen too many times people who do have online trainers, and it's really just like them watching them do the workout and being like, okay, now we're going to do this, you know, and then sitting there waiting for the set to be, okay, now we're going to do this, you know, whereas with if it's a really good coach or someone who's trained in person can actually interact during the session about what needs to be changed, or what did you feel after that one? Okay, let's adjust this, etc., stuff like that. But if you've never done it, then you don't, like you said, you have no experience to pull from.
Yeah, my advice would be start with someone in your neighborhood, a family or a friend. That way you could get some experience of like how to coach before you just jump into it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Question number 2. What are both of your weaknesses when it comes to your fitness and health?
Biceps.
Dude. Yeah. Chest day.
Yeah. Calves. That's a good one. I feel like I'm trying to think of things right now. I feel like my sleep has been really coming around really well. I think that's been really good. I think right now the next thing that I feel like I need to deal with is going farther away from processed foods. I think that's one that like still continues to kind of bother me, because right now I will say I've brought down my fast food intake a lot, man. And it's mostly a financial thing where I'm like, I'm really trying to save a lot of money and be super good about it. So fast food's gotta go because it's super fucking expensive. Sometimes even the grocery store can be expensive and shit too. But I still find myself like when I'm eating a meal being like looking for something more processed, right? Because it's just what my body is used to. It's what we're all used to, you know, to some extent. And so I'll be like, well, I'll have like a side of some potato chips, or I'll have like a little bit of this, right? And while the rest of the food is very, very healthy, right? Like the other day I ate I must have eaten like 8 ounces of chicken and a bunch of white rice. And I was like, well, I can have a little bit of chips as a treat, you know? And so I think for me, it's now trying to get around that kind of, I wouldn't even say it's a craving, but more of a habit, right? Of having something like that throughout my meal or looking for it mentally, you know? So I think that that's kind of like my weakness right now, and something that is my sort of next step to work on.
A lot of people are going to relate to mine.
What is that?
The weekends. Yeah. You know, like learning how to win the weekend.
Yeah.
And I heard this on an episode of a podcast. If you could win the weekend, you're going to win the whole week.
For sure.
Because that's where most people lose it in fitness. They do great Monday through Friday. And me and Amanda, you know, talked about like, we had a great 40 days through Lent. We kind of like backed off, and let's get back into let's just have eating out once a week. And going back, I was feeling great, and my body felt hard and solid. and processed foods started creeping back. I mean, these palatable foods are so addictive and so controlling.
So like, here's something in line with that too. I feel like it's kind of similar ideas, right? But like, okay, so I've been eating really well, been doing a lot of stuff. Like I've told you, I've kind of cut back on my dairy intake a lot. And I think that now that I've cut back even on it more, that the times when I do have a little bit of dairy, bro, I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
And like, not even bad where I'm like, I'm shitting on the toilet or something like that. But it's like, I just feel bad. And so last night, like I said, I had a bunch of chicken and rice. I did have a side of potato chips. And then later on that night, I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to have like some cookies. So I had like 3 little like Oreo sized cookies. Bro, I don't know. I guess like the cream in the middle or whatever they make it out of or whatever.
You know it's vegan, right?
The cream in the middle. Well, they weren't Oreos. They were like some generic off brand. So I don't know what they put in that shit. But dude, today woke up fucked up. My stomach feels all weird. I don't really feel like top game.
There's a chips, bro. I'm trying to help you out.
Yeah. No, those chips are fine. Chips are fine. But yeah, I was like, man, I can tell when I have too much processed stuff or when I'm ingesting something that my body doesn't like. Immediately, right away, I feel like crap, you know?
Yeah. All right. Next question. Edwin, you have told me that you've been seeing a chiropractor. Besides a chiropractor, what are other professionals you like to help you with your training? So like if I have clients or anything, I honestly would love to be with a functional doctor.
Yeah.
Someone who can help on that end.
Yes.
Maybe if I have special occasions with certain clients, a nutritionist, a dietitian. We do have a friend, Vanessa.
We do.
Who can help you out. And physical therapists, like for reaffirming what I tell my clients. Right?
Yeah.
And also it gives you more frequency and you can use your insurance. Right. And so those are like probably my main professionals that I like, and maybe like a hormone person, which we have Renew, right?
Hormone would be really good. I think someone to just keep track of like blood work and things like that. Mine is going to be a little bit funny, but I would actually say a mental health therapist, man. That would be like one that I would say is.
That's what a weak man says.
Yeah, that's what a victimized man is, you know.
So when you say that though, I would like to give it a caveat. And there's different types of therapists.
Yeah.
So I think you got to figure out what type of therapist works for you.
Right.
And I know a lot of men don't do well with just the talking therapist.
So that's one of the things that I was going to bring up. I was actually talking about it today with one of my clients about like somatic therapy, right? Where it's more like physical or more, I would almost say, existential to an extent, because a lot of the times, like I was talking to my client who's done it in the past, and she was saying, you know, they'll start out the session and be like, okay, here's like some colors, you know, like color palettes, you know, and be like, which one do you feel more like today? You know, and I was like, what a weird question, you know, like I'd kind of be like, I don't know, fucking blue, I guess, or, you know, whatever it is, but it's more abstract than it is exactly like, tell me how you're feeling about your problems, you know, because it's funny, the other day we were out and we had gone to Target or something like that. And so we bought cat litter. So I'm like lugging around these like cat litter things. And I'm like, fuck, it's hot outside. Like, I don't want to be doing this. And Camille was like, does it make you feel like useful? Do you feel like a man doing it? And I was like, no. Like, I was like, I don't feel like, I feel like I want to get to the car. That's what I feel like. And it's hard, right? Because like, I can't really express myself that way. And I also don't even think like that, you know, like I'm not holding this and being like, oh, I feel so manly right now, you know, and
all because you carry something heavy does not make you feel manly.
Yeah. Or, you know, like she was like, do you feel useful? And I was like, I don't really think of it that way, you know? And so I find that in talk therapy sometimes, you know, when you ask a question like that, it's like, I don't know. I don't think that way, you know? So I think that, like you said, either finding a therapist that you work well with or finding a type of therapy that helps. And the only reason I say that is because it helps you de-stress, right? It's going to help you sleep better at night if you're going through something. These are all the things that end up helping you with training, right? Or if you're having some like weird mental block with training, right? Like that's another good way to kind of go and figure it out.
Yeah. But next question, besides imposter syndrome, what is something a new trainer can do to become better and create a better business? I think one thing is to start with learning one thing instead of trying to learn mobility, nutrition, everything at once. Just learn one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Like I started with nutrition at the beginning, and then I went into mobility. Then I went into a little bit more like strength, like pure strength training. And then, you know, like learn one concept at a time, because there's so many concepts. As a trainer today, you need to be, back then it used to probably be about just working out.
Yeah.
Today, you got to be a workout. You got to give someone a meal plan. You got to be a lifestyle coach. You got to be a therapist. You got to learn different skill sets, which is crazy because you think, because you have to learn so many different skill sets that we would be getting paid millions of dollars, but trainers don't.
Yeah.
You got to love what you do. But you have to become all encompassing. You got to learn different. You got to learn about the brain. You got to learn about. It's crazy because you get a bunch of different situations, and it's just going to take time. But focus on what you want to, what you really love at the beginning, and then move out from there.
And it is kind of daunting, right? Like you do end up thinking about it and you're like, fuck, I got to learn about this. I got to be a nutritionist. I got to be, this, I got to learn about that. And so you kind of get into a moment where you're like, fuck, it's just too much. Or how do I keep up with all of it? Or if you're not super versed in something, then you start to feel like, oh shit, my client's going to think I'm fucking lying, or they're not going to believe me, or they're going to go look it up and I said something wrong or whatever it is, So I think that that's actually really good advice of choosing a thing at a time and getting really, really versed in it. As things come up, maybe you can learn about them and stuff. Like for me, I learned programming first, right? Learned it from you. After that, it was, okay, let's get into like the mobility aspect of it. And I would say a lot of the times, do the things yourself. I think that if you start to do them yourself too, you'll feel more confident because you're not like talking out of your ass, right? You're talking from experience, like we just talked about, right? Yeah. And so doing those things, learning about them, running them yourself, every program that I've ever had anybody on, I've done all the exercises in. I'm never going to tell someone to do something that I haven't done. And that makes me feel confident. As someone, I tell people all the time, if you want to learn how to do Olympic lifts, go somewhere else because I don't know how to do that shit.
I know how to do it, but I'm not an expert at this.
Okay, yeah, exactly right. So I'm like, I don't feel comfortable teaching you because I don't think that I'm the best option, you know?
And that tells me another good thing for a new trainer. Don't be afraid to lose money. Yeah. Because if you needed to, I literally sent someone to the chiropractor, to Peterson, right? They're better. They came back. They're much stronger. They're better. It's okay to refer out because it'll pay back in the back end.
If anything, you shouldn't even look at it as losing money. It's sort of like an investment, right? Yeah. Like you're sort of investing in this person in the hopes, that they come back, but that's kind of the nature of investments. You don't,
or they send you somebody else.
Yeah, they don't really know, right? But at that point, you've built a repertoire with another human being, right? Where they now trust you. They felt better after they did what you said. Now, now they're going to go and say, or their friends are going to be like, hey, you're walking so much better. Like, what happened to your low back pain? Oh, well, I met this guy and he told me this. And they're going to be like, well, I want that, And so you've now invested in this whole person's like circle of people that they know, And so honestly, doing things like that and referring out or saying you don't know or whatever it is, like, don't be afraid to step back sometimes, because I think that it's going to build confidence too when they do come back and you're going to be like, oh shit, that was the right decision.
So I do want to go back into, you talk about doing things yourself first. And that's why I'm taking these sleep aids.
Yeah.
Right. Is so that I can do it first and then be able to explain it to my clients better. But I've seen where trainers have looked at a move by someone else and literally try to explain it to their client. You could see them struggling because they've never done it before.
Right. Yeah. Because how are you supposed to teach someone something that you've never done? I don't understand.
So I think training is like the ultimate job where doing it yourself is the best route, or coaching it at least for free the first time. Yeah. And then getting better as a coach later. Because maybe you don't understand powerlifting right now, but you're like, let me try to get this person better at powerlifting. I'm going to read about it and I'm going to go trial and error, learn through this one person. And then you get some results and then you get another person and you're like, I'm not going to really charge them a lot, but I'm going to try again. And then you become the greatest powerlifting coach ever all of a sudden, because you've gone trial and error. You ask questions of other trainers. You weren't afraid to look up other resources. That there's trainers better than me out there, I can say that right now, who have way more experience, make way more money than me. Why not, try to learn from them and get the best results for my clients as possible? Yeah. All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Then our YouTube channel, Please comment down below and subscribe as well. Give us that good like button and that good press on the subscribe. It'd be oh so nice. Then on the website, it's SS Empowered. We got free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase. Then we have our email, strengthsolutionsempowered@gmail.com. There you can email us fitness questions or just questions in general. Then we have our social media, Facebook, Strength Solutions, TikTok, strength.solutions.pod, and Instagram, Strength Solutions Empowered. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Until next time, guys, what?